Welcome back to our channel. It's a beautifully chaotic day and my brain is absolutely buzzing with a million different theories about the absolute madness currently unfolding on our screens. Grab a cup of coffee and buckle up, because we need to talk about the Hamiltons, and I promise you, things are so much darker than they appear on the surface. I'm about to sound like a madman, but let me hear it anyway. After that massive, devastating tornado completely ripped through the Hamilton mansion, leaving the entire estate in absolute ruins, everyone in Genoa City thought the real disaster was finally over. The storm had passed, the skies were clear, and the immediate physical threat was neutralized. Actually, I'm not sure I understand correctly, but the temporary relocation to that high-end, sterile, impersonal hotel was supposed to be a safe haven, right? A place for them to regroup, breathe, and figure out their next steps. But maybe I'm connecting unrelated things when I say that this very hotel stay is actually the beginning of a terrifying, invisible chain of danger that Bill hasn't even begun to realize is wrapping around his neck. Let me explain why this is important. The hotel isn't just a temporary setting. It's a rapidly changing environment that completely strips away their usual psychological defenses. In a deep survival psychology analysis, when individuals are violently displaced from their primary territory, their safe zone, their baseline behaviors shift dramatically. The tornado wasn't just a random weather event. Exploring whether the apocalypse is symbolic, man-made, or cyclical, I strongly lean towards a symbolic apocalypse of their entire marriage. The physical destruction of the Grand Hamilton mansion perfectly mirrors the complete moral collapse happening right under Bill's completely oblivious nose. Okay, wait a minute. Let me say it again because I feel like I'm rushing. Hayley's sudden, overwhelming obsession with going back to the destroyed house is the biggest red flag I have ever seen. She keeps whining, not exactly whining, but something like that. Or maybe not, I don't know. Her tone is more of a frantic, breathless desperation. She claims she just wants to retrieve her belongings, but listen, is it really about her favorite designer jewelry, some sentimental photo album, or a pair of shoes? No, hold on a minute. It's a desperate, almost animalistic effort to retrieve something incredibly dangerous hidden deep within that rubble. A poison. Yes, I said it. A literal toxin. If what she actually needs to get her hands on is that specific, lethal substance, we have to stop and ask a massive, terrifying question. Who put it there in the first place? And why did it exist in their shared, intimate living space long before the storm even hit, without Bill ever suspecting a single thing? I have a theory, but I don't really believe it myself. Did she plant it weeks ago in preparation? Was there a shadowy accomplice who delivered it to the mansion? Everything makes sense until I think about it for another 10 seconds. If she already had the poison ready to go, why didn't she use it earlier when they were comfortable and safe in their routine? But that doesn't explain why she's panicking so intensely right now. The timeline is messy, and my brain is jumping all over the place trying to piece it together. Actually, no. I should have mentioned that earlier. Bill's reaction to her escalating panic is easily the most fascinating and frustrating part of this whole dynamic. He is being so incredibly, painfully nice. He calmly, almost casually offers to just buy her new things. Don't worry, honey. We'll replace it all. We have the money. It's so chillingly mundane and practical. What am I saying? Oh, right, his absolute calmness, this performative, oblivious kindness, is unintentionally destroying the very foundation of Hayley's meticulously premeditated murder plot. She absolutely needs a valid excuse to go back to the ruins to dig out her weapon. And his endless financial resources and willingness to accommodate her every material need are completely blocking her path. It's a brilliant, accidental subversion of power struggles. He's completely controlling her movements by overly accommodating her desires. Maybe it doesn't matter, but I noticed he didn't even look up from his phone when he offered to replace her entire wardrobe. It was a throwaway line for him, but a devastating roadblock for her. Wait, This connects to the first scene in the hotel lobby. When Hayley starts visibly losing control, her carefully constructed mask violently slips. You can physically see the raw fear and deep despair taking over her facial expressions. But what is actually more terrifying here? Is it the fact that her cold-blooded murder plan is being threatened by an act of God? Or is it that her own psychological architecture is actively collapsing under the immense, crushing pressure of maintaining this colossal, life-or-death lie? The human mind can only compartmentalize so much trauma and deceit before the cognitive dissonance causes a total, irreparable fracture. Okay, I know I just said the opposite, but listen to me. Maybe she isn't just stressed about the plan failing. Maybe she is experiencing a real-time psychological fragmentation because she realizes she is trapped in a cage of her own making. The recurring imagery of broken glass and shattered mirrors in the hotel suite perfectly mirrors her fractured state of mind. Every single time she looks in a mirror, she doesn't see herself. She sees the jagged, dangerous rubble of the Hamilton mansion. Let's pivot and talk about Naomi Hawthorne, because this is where the tension becomes absolutely unbearable. Naomi saw something. She looked right into Hayley's terrified, erratic, darting eyes. Naomi didn't buy that completely fabricated, overly detailed random story about Derek for a single, solitary second. Actually, forget that part about the story for a second. Let's focus on the look itself. It wasn't just standard anxiety. It was the specific, recognizable look of a trapped predator calculating its final move. Naomi's innocent, seemingly harmless question, I think it was just a passing comment about the exact timeline of when Derek supposedly left, accidentally struck the exact structural weak point of Hayley's entire web of deception. It was a hidden warning, a subtle, almost invisible tripwire that Hayley completely failed to see coming because she was so blinded by her own internal panic. Okay, wait, let me back up. Why is Naomi even asking about Derek? Maybe I'm connecting unrelated things, but if Naomi keeps digging into this specific Derek narrative, what is the end game? Will she eventually uncover the physical, chemical traces of the hidden poison, or will she just find a tiny, seemingly insignificant lie that eventually unravels the entire grand scheme? Usually, in these intense survival psychology scenarios, it's not the actual murder weapon that gets the culprit caught, it's the stupid, unnecessary lie about where you bought your coffee that morning. The minor tensions between characters, like the incredibly specific way Naomi held her coffee cup just a little too tightly, her knuckles turning white, while questioning Hayley, are absolutely predicting future conflict of epic, destructive proportions. Naomi is a bloodhound, and she has caught a scent that she is not going to ignore. Anyway, the main point is wait. What is the main point? Oh, right, Bill. We have to talk about Bill's completely misdirected suspicions. Bill is definitely noticing that Hayley is acting like an absolute lunatic. He isn't completely blind to her erratic pacing, her sweating, her sudden outbursts, but he is looking at the entire terrifying situation through a completely distorted, self-serving lens. He strongly suspects her of hiding something, but he suspects her of the totally wrong thing. Why? Because of his own overwhelming, suffocating guilt. He is having an affair, or at least carrying the heavy emotional weight of a severe betrayal, and that intense guilt is completely blinding him to reality. He thinks she's acting weird because she somehow found out about his betrayal. He is projecting his own moral collapse onto her nervous breakdown. It's a tragic, almost Shakespearean irony. He is so entirely focused on his own sins and his own fear of being caught cheating that he cannot see the very real, very lethal, murderous threat sleeping in the incredibly expensive hotel bed right next to him. Maybe I'm overthinking, but listen, the more Hayley panics, the faster she is driving herself toward a steep, jagged cliff. Is her frantic, ungrounded energy actually pushing her closer to successfully killing Bill because she's rushing the timeline and bypassing safety protocols? Or is she just clumsily, stupidly leaving a massive trail of breadcrumbs and accidentally creating more and more witnesses to her erratic, suspicious behavior? Every single time she snaps aggressively at a confused bellhop, every time she stammers and contradicts herself in front of a sharp-eyed Naomi, she is unknowingly building a massive circumstantial legal case against herself. Her primal fear is completely overriding her cold logic. She is devolving from a calculated mastermind into a sloppy, desperate amateur. And then, of course, there is the looming shadow of Kyle. If Kyle suddenly appears at the hotel right at this exact volatile moment, which we all know is highly likely given the show's historical narrative pacing and his tendency to insert himself into drama, what exact role does he play in this powder keg? Is he the final, explosive catalyst, the definitive knot that violently tightens the noose around Bill's neck? Does his mere presence force Hayley to accelerate the murder plan before she is truly ready, practically guaranteeing she makes a fatal error and gets caught? Or is Kyle the unexpected wrecking ball that will smash directly into her fragile, trembling house of cards, causing all of Hayley's dark secrets to spill out spectacularly onto the polished marble floor of the hotel lobby? I mean, think about their complex past interactions. The tension is always palpable, thick enough to cut with a knife. Kyle has a very specific, annoying way of seeing right through people's facades, but he also always has his own hidden agenda that complicates everything. Actually, I'm not sure I understand correctly, but let's go back to the physical logistics of the poison for a second, because my brain won't let it go. The logistics of the poison sitting in the Hamilton Mansion ruins are maddening. If the F5 tornado completely destroyed the specific wing of the house where the toxin was hidden, what are the actual statistical chances that the glass vial or plastic container is even intact? She is risking absolutely everything: her freedom, her cover story, her sanity, to go back for a tiny object that might be completely washed away by the rain or crushed into microscopic dust under tons of shattered drywall and heavy mahogany beams. This shows pure, unadulterated despair. It's not calculated anymore. It's completely feral. The survival psychology analysis here indicates a complete, terrifying regression to base, animalistic instincts. She desperately needs the tool of her salvation, which is simultaneously the tool of Bill's destruction, and her brain simply cannot process the highly probable reality that it might be gone forever. Wait, this connects to the first scene again. The contrast of the settings. The hotel room itself is a character in this drama. The sterile environment. It's so painfully bright, so perfectly clean, illuminated by harsh fluorescent and LED lights, in stark, jarring contrast to the dark, twisted, muddy thoughts swirling in her head. The changing environments are playing a massive, undeniable role in her rapid unraveling. In the dark, moody, sprawling Hamilton mansion, with its shadows and heavy drapes, she felt powerful. She felt hidden and in control of her domain. In the bright, impersonal, perfectly organized hotel room, she is completely exposed. Every facial twitch, every stuttered lie, every drop of sweat is illuminated for everyone to see. Bill's casual, relaxed demeanor in this bright, open space is exactly what makes it so suffocating and claustrophobic for her. She is a creature of the dark, suddenly trapped under a microscope. I have a theory, but I don't really believe it myself. But I have to put it out there. What if Bill actually knows? What if Bill's generous offer to buy new things isn't just oblivious, wealthy kindness? What if he somehow found the poison days before the storm, swapped it out with something harmless, and is now actively, sadistically torturing her psychologically by playing the doting perfect husband? Everything makes sense until I think about it for another 10 seconds. Bill isn't really that much of a mastermind, is he? His intense guilt over the affair usually makes him incredibly sloppy and avoidant, not a Machiavellian genius playing 4D chess. But that doesn't explain why he specifically, pointedly suggested replacing her entire antique vanity set, which is exactly the piece of furniture where she used to hide her most private, locked boxes. Maybe it doesn't matter, but I noticed that specific detail and it sent a shiver down my spine. Okay, wait a minute. Let me say it again, because we need to bring this all together. We have to ask the ultimate, most terrifying, existential question of this entire storyline. Is Bill truly an innocent victim being brutally betrayed by a deliberate, cold-blooded murder plot orchestrated by his wife? Or is he, ultimately, being destroyed by his own messy, complicated, selfish choices and toxic relationships that he has actively, stubbornly refused to look at directly? If he hadn't had the affair, he wouldn't be burdened and blinded by this massive guilt. If he wasn't blinded by guilt, he would easily see Hayley's obvious murderous intent and erratic behavior. Therefore, his own moral failings are the literal architects of his potential demise. It's a cyclical apocalypse of his own making, a self-fulfilling prophecy of destruction. What am I saying? Oh, right, the profound tragedy of Bill Hamilton is that he meticulously built the very labyrinth he is currently trapped inside. And Hayley is just the desperate, panicking minotaur waiting in the dark at the center, holding a vial of poison. I mean, not exactly, but something like that. Or maybe not. I don't know. Metaphors are hard when there are so many moving pieces. The power struggles here are so incredibly layered and complex. Naomi is aggressively pulling at a loose thread that could unravel a murder. Kyle is standing in the hallway about to kick in the door and change the entire dynamic. Bill is staring blankly at the hotel ceiling, feeling guilty about another woman. And Hayley is mentally digging through metaphorical and literal rubble trying to find a way to end it all before she explodes. It's brilliant writing. It's absolute chaos, and my brain can barely handle the implications of what is going to happen next. I need to lie down, but I also need to rewatch the last 3 episodes immediately to see if I missed any more hidden warnings.